Okay, good morning all. So in the last class we have seen some fundamentals of electromagnetism. Okay. So today we will start with single phase transformers. Hope yesterday's class was useful for you to brush up the basics. Okay. And those things we will be using today uh, from today in all the machines. Okay. So single phase transformers. So before we exactly go into single phase transformers, let us see what are the different types of electrical machines we have. Okay, and what are their duties and what are their applications. Okay, so this is also an electrical machine. So electrical machine, these are of two types. Okay. So there are two types of electrical machines: static electrical machine and dynamic electrical machine. Static electrical machine and dynamic electrical machine. Okay, so static and dynamic, these appear, the name appear with respect to the physical operation of the machine, that this machine is stationary and dynamic machines are rotating or moving. But actually the fundamental concept behind static and dynamic is the static machines work on statically induced EMFs, dynamic machines work on dynamically induced EMFs or torques. What is static induced EMF? Now if I have a coil, to this coil if I provide an alternating voltage of E volts, then a current of I amperes will flow, which is also alternating in nature. This coil is having inductance of L, and when the current flows through the inductive coil, a flux is produced. Okay, a flux is produced. Now this flux is also alternating. Whatever the nature of current I get, that nature of flux I get. Now if current is alternating, flux will also be alternating. If current is steady or current is DC, flux will also be DC. Okay, so since the current is alternating, flux is also alternating. Now the same flux phi is linking to this coil, which is stationary. Neither the flux is moving, there is no physical movement of the flux, there is no physical movement of the coil, but still the flux linking to this coil is continuously changing because this flux is alternating. So at every instant the value of flux is changing and that is linking to this coil. Therefore this changing flux linking to this coil will induce an EMF. Okay, so this EMF induced in the coil is not because of moment of the flux or moment of the coil, it is because of only the alternating nature of the flux. Okay, this type of induced EMF is called statically induced EMF. Okay, so this is statically induced EMF. Now dynamic induced EMF already we have studied in single phase generation and three phase generation. Okay, in single phase generation we saw there was a constant magnetic field or uniform magnetic field and I made my conductor to rotate in its circular path. Now here physically conductor is moving, so there is a dynamic action. There is a dynamic action, hence this is called dynamically induced EMF. Now the other case is I will keep the conductor stationary like I did in three phase and I will make the magnetic field rotating. This is also having dynamic nature because magnetic field is physically rotating. So these two are called dynamically induced EMF. This is called statically induced EMF. So the machine that operates with static induced EMF is called static electrical machine, The machines that operate with the dynamic principle, they are called dynamic electric machines. Okay. Now, static electrical machine, I have only the transformer. There are many applications with static induction principle, but we don't call them as machines. Okay. The static electrical machine is only the transformer, whereas dynamic electrical machine, we have again two types: motors and generators. Motors and generators, and these can be DC motors, AC motors, DC generators, AC generators. So this is the broad view of electrical machine. So these are any machine, any type of machine will come under this classification tree only. Okay, whether it is a special motor, whether it is induction motor, special, whatever may be the type of machine we get, it will fall under one of this classification. Okay, and we are interested to study this transformer now. Okay. So this is self-induction. Okay, or we will define transformer. What is transformer? Yeah, these electrical machines are used either to transfer the power from one system to other system, or one circuit to other circuit, or these are used to convert the power. See, we saw about transformer, we saw generator and motor. Okay, so transformer will transfer electrical energy. It will simply transfer electrical energy from one circuit to other circuit, from primary circuit to secondary circuit. Whereas generator, it will convert mechanical energy, mechanical to electrical energy. Okay, so if you see the generators in our premises, college premises, or big housing complex premises, or shopping complex premises, you see generators, those will run on diesel. Okay, those will run on diesel. So a diesel engine is attached to that generator. That diesel engine is providing the kinetic energy or mechanical energy to the generator, and generator is converting that mechanical energy to the electrical energy. Or if you take a hydroelectric power plant, the water is made to fall on the turbine. Okay, or water is made to hit the turbine blades. Now turbine blades will start rotating. A generator is connected to that shaft of the turbine, and that turbine is providing the mechanical energy to the generator, and generator is generating electrical energy or electricity. Okay, so generators will convert mechanical energy to electrical energy, whereas motor convert electrical energy to mechanical energy. Very simple example: our fans, water lifting pumps, our mixer grinders. You take any motors, application of any motor. Okay, so all motors convert electrical energy to mechanical energy. So if any mechanical work has to be done, then I will be using the motor. Okay, so these are the functions of the electrical machines. So transformer will simply transfer, it won't convert. Whatever the electrical energy I have in one circuit, it will get transferred to other circuit. It won't convert in any form. Whereas generator will convert mechanical to electrical, motor will convert electrical to mechanical. Okay. Now how transformer will convert? Okay. So we will see the definition of transformer. Transformer is a static electrical device, works on mutual induction principle, that transfer electrical power from one circuit to other circuit without changing total power and frequency. Okay, if you want I will write down. Transformer is a static electric machine that works on mutual induction principle which transfers electrical energy from one circuit to other without changing total power and frequency. So this is the definition of transformer. Okay, what is mutual induction principle? We saw self induction. If I connect a coil with an alternating source, that coil will carry the alternating current. Alternating flux is produced surrounding that coil. The same alternating flux will link the same coil, and an EMF is induced in the same coil, which is called self induction, and L is called self inductance. Now I have two coils. I will energize one coil with an AC. Let this be E1, let this be I1. Now it will create its flux. No doubt there will be self-induced EMF E1 dash. Now if I place another coil near to this first coil, such that the second coil will be inside the magnetic field of first coil, then there is an EMF induced in the second coil also. Because the flux phi which is created by this current I1, okay, is linking to the second coil also. So this second coil is also experiencing the change in flux. Therefore an EMF has to be induced in the second coil. Okay, so because there is mutual magnetic connection between first coil and second coil, this is called, E2 is called mutually induced EMF. And the process is called mutual induction, which is also static. This is also self-induced EMFs and mutual induced EMFs, both are statically induced EMFs. Transformer will operate with this principle. Slightly there is a difference in the construction of the transformer. Okay, so this is the fundamental principle, mutual induction, on which my transformer will always operate. Okay, so now to make a transformer I need two coils. One coil which is energized, second coil which is receiving the energy. Now as per the definition of transformer, it is transferring electrical energy from one circuit to other circuit. Now from which circuit to which circuit? Transformer will transfer the power or energy from first circuit to which it is energized, to which the supply is connected, to the second circuit where the load is connected. Okay, so from first circuit to second circuit, transformer is transferring the power. Okay, so this is the fundamental understanding of the definition of transformer, and without changing power and frequency. Okay, if this would have changed total power and frequency, then transformer would have got no significance in our power network or power system. The biggest advantage of transformer is that it will not change the frequency. Frequency of transformer induced EMF is same, second induced EMF is same. Why? Because the frequency of flux is the frequency of current, Frequency of current is the frequency of voltage supply. The frequency of induced EMF is the frequency of the flux. Therefore, frequency of secondary induced EMF is the frequency of primary supply voltage. Hence, there is no change in frequency. And whatever the total power, there are three powers: total power, real power, reactive power. The total power in the primary and secondary will remain same. So whatever the primary E1, I1 I am giving, secondary it will be E2, I2, which will be always equal to each other. E1, I1 is total power, volt amperes, is always equal to E2, I2, volt amperes, total power. So this transformer is simply transferring the complete electrical energy from primary circuit to secondary circuit. But the real power will be different from primary to secondary. Whatever the real power I have, EI, E1, I1 cos phi 1 is not equal to E2, I2 cos phi 2. E2, I2 cos phi 2 will be lesser than E1, I1 cos phi 1 because of losses. That we will see in the later stage. What I am talking about is total power. Total power will remain same, but active powers are different. Okay. So this is the fundamental definition of transformer. Okay. Next we will see the construction. Construction of transformer. Okay. So transformer is constructed using the magnetic core, this is the core, laminated core. V1, I1, or let us not take this, we will see in the principal voltage and currents. Okay. So this is the transformer construction. Okay. So there are two windings and there is one core. So this is core, okay, or laminated core. Laminated core. This is primary winding or primary coil. This is secondary winding. Or secondary coil. So the fundamental construction of transformer is having two windings, one is primary, one is secondary, and one core, magnetic core. So this core is made up of magnetic material. This core is made up of magnetic material. Okay. So first we will see winding. Okay. So winding is made up of copper or aluminum. Copper or aluminum conductors. Okay. Wound in terms of in the form of turns. I told in the yesterday's lecture that why don't I keep the wire stretched, because the flux produced will be limited. When I keep that wire in the form of a coil or winding, the flux produced will be more, therefore induction will be more. Okay. So this winding is made up of copper or aluminum conductors wound in the form of turns. Wound in the form of turns. Many number of turns I have. Okay, and I will be using copper or aluminum conductor so that the inductive nature of the winding is very high and resistive nature is very less. I keep the resistance of winding very less and I keep inductance of winding very high because I want more induction and I want less losses. I square R power consumption by the winding itself should be less. Therefore, I keep the resistance of the winding very less and inductance of the winding very high, so that if the inductance is large, yesterday we have seen flux is proportional to I and flux is equals to L into I. Now if I keep the inductance value very large, then a minimum value of current is sufficient for me to create the required amount of flux. If the inductance of the coil is less, the current drawn will be more. More the current drawn means more the losses will be there in the machine. What are the losses we'll see in the further part. Okay, so always I expect the current drawn by the system should be less to do the same amount of work. Okay, and this current drawn is the reactive component of the current. So reactive component of the current should be as minimum as possible so that my power factor is good. Okay, so therefore here, if the inductance of the coil is kept very large, then minimum current will be sufficient for me to create the required flux. If the inductance of the coil is less, I need more current to create the same amount of flux. So the winding is fabricated in such a way that the the inductance of the winding is very high, resistance of the winding is very low. Okay, so we are taking care of that. And it is made up of aluminum or copper. Okay, most of the cases today we are using copper conductors. Okay, if the for large transformers or for medium size transformers, medium size in the sense if the power rating is less than 10 kVA, is small. Power rating from 10 kVA to 100 kVA is medium size. Above 100 kVA is called large size machines. For every machine, not only for transformer, for every machine. Okay. For medium size transformers, we generally use aluminum conductors. Okay, aluminum rectangular strips, aluminum conductors we use, or generally we use copper. Okay. The difference between copper conductor and aluminum conductor is their density. Okay. The density of aluminum is around 2.5 times less than the density of copper. Okay, so to carry the same amount of current, the size of aluminum conductor will be 2.5 times more than the size of copper conductor. So for very large transformers, if I use aluminum, the size of the winding will be much more bigger than that copper winding. Okay, so therefore we don't use aluminum for very large machines. But aluminum has got an advantage of better cooling because of its density is very less. It is a lighter material. The cooling of aluminum conductor will be very fast, so that the temperature rise in the machine is cooled down soon. Okay, that is one advantage with aluminum conductor. But the mechanical strength of aluminum conductor is not like copper. Copper is having very good mechanical strength when compared to aluminum conductor. So when I have to keep the winding in the form of turns wound on the solid material, at the edges there is the danger of cutting the conductors. Okay, the conductors can get cut, physically damaged. In such cases, copper will give better mechanical strength. So most of the cases we use copper as a conductor. Okay, so this is about winding, primary winding and secondary winding. Next is the core. Okay, I will take this part. Core. core is made up of silicon steel laminations. See, the core of the transformer is not solid. This is the solid thickness, okay? But the core of the transformer, or in general, the core of any electrical machine is not made up of solid material. It is made up of laminations. It is made up of silicon steel laminations. Silicon steel is nothing but my mild steel. This is mild steel. Okay, it has got good magnetic properties. It has got good magnetic properties. What is good magnetic properties means? Reluctance should be very less. Okay, reluctance should be very less. Permeability should be more. Okay, reluctance should be less. Permeability should be more. Okay, so that the flux created in the core is very high. Okay, so the magnetic core will provide a better path for the flow creation of the flux. Okay, so it has got good magnetic properties. Hysteresis losses are less. Hysteresis losses are less. What are hysteresis loss? We will see. Okay, and because we use laminated core, eddy current losses are also less. We will see what are eddy current losses, what are hysteresis losses. Okay, when that point comes in the discussion, we will go through that. Just now you remember. So the losses in the core are less generally with the use of silicon steel material, which is good in its magnetic properties, and because of use of laminations or laminated core. Okay, because we use laminated core, eddy current losses are less. So this is the thick core. Now if I use this itself as the core, this is of solid thickness. Okay, this is of solid thickness, but I don't use solid thick core. I generally use the laminated core. What do you mean by laminated is, instead of using a single thickness of silicon steel, I use very thin silicon steel sheets. The thickness of one silicon steel sheet is not even 1 mm. Okay, and I will join them together. When I join them together, it will give me sufficient mechanical thickness and strength. Exactly the same way what we have the textbook. You can observe here. Okay, so here what we see is thickness. This is thick. But is it solid? No. This thickness is obtained from the number of pages. Okay, from number of pages. Okay, when I have stacked all the number of pages together, I got sufficient thickness here. I got some thickness. Okay, so you can visualize each lamination is like the one page of this book. Okay, now if I take out each page from this book, if I take down each page from this book, do I get any thickness? No, I don't get this much thickness of the book. If I take out each and every page, this book itself will not remain as a book. Is it? So, this one page is nothing but one lamination. Okay? And when I stack and press all the laminations, it will form a solid thickness. Okay? But you may ask, what is the point in, instead of taking a single thickness like this, why do I go for laminated thickness? We should not forget that each lamination is insulated from its adjacent two laminations. Between every lamination there is an insulation. Okay, why we need that, we will see in eddy current loss discussion. Okay, so each lamination is you can write each lamination is insulated from one another. Each lamination is insulated from one another. Okay? Because with this type of construction, laminated core construction, the eddy current losses are minimized to very, very, very low value. Or else my eddy current losses will be more. More the losses means more the temperature rise. So the transformer will heat up to the very high temperature, okay, which it cannot withstand. It may damage the insulation that is provided for the conductors. It may vary the properties of the conductors. Okay, so there will be a lot of harm happening to the performance as well as the physical condition of the transformer. Hence, we don't use laminated, we don't use a solid conductor, solid core. Instead, we use laminated core. Okay, instead we use laminated core. Okay, so how the transformer core looks like once I construct it using laminated core is, so this is the transformer core. Okay. This will be the transformer core, and I will be placing winding on this. These are made up of laminations. Each line is one lamination. This is how the transformer core is made of. Okay, this is the thickness. Okay, and when I place the winding on this transformer core, this is thickness. When I place the winding on this transformer core, so this is primary and this is secondary. Okay, so I will be placing winding on this transformer core in this fashion. Okay, so this is the thickness of the core. Okay, this is a three-dimensional figure. This is thickness of the core. So this thickness of the core is not obtained with a solid magnetic material. So this thickness of the core is obtained using the laminations. You can see the laminations here. And between this lamination and this lamination, I will be putting an insulation. If the laminations are not insulated from each other, then the purpose of reducing the eddy current losses will not be served. Okay, it will be as good as solid core itself. Okay, so generally we use a varnish insulator, okay, for insulating between two laminations. So this is the construction of transformer. Okay, so the transformer is having two parts, winding and core. Winding is wound on the core. And the part of the core on which the winding is wound is called limbs. Okay, these are called limbs. This is primary limb, this is secondary limb. Okay, so these are called limbs. Okay, so it has got winding and the core. So winding is generally kept on the two limbs. The winding is made up of either copper conductor or aluminum conductor depending upon my application. Okay, but both are used. Generally copper and aluminum. There are no other conductors that we can use. The best conductor is silver, but we can't afford to use silver as a conductor in transformer. Okay, if you stretch the number of turns, the length of the winding goes kilometers together. Okay, we can't afford silver as a conductor, but silver and gold are used as conductor in integrated circuits, not in the large electrical applications. In small electronic applications, we use gold and silver as the conductors. Okay, in almost all the ICs, we may use gold and silver as conductors or integrated circuits. So the winding is kept on two limbs, one from the primary winding, one from the secondary winding. Okay, now primary winding is which one, secondary winding is which one? It is not compulsion, okay, that always the left winding is primary and right winding is secondary. Primary winding is one where the supply is connected. Okay, you should know that. Primary winding okay, to which supply is connected. Supply is connected. Secondary winding to which load is connected. Load is anything that receives electrical power. That is load. Okay. Load is anything that receives electrical power. Okay. So where I connect supply, that become primary. Where I connect load, that becomes secondary. Okay. So generally when we represent the electrical circuit on paper, I always represent supply on left and load on right, because we write from left to right while writing the things. Okay. So that for that reason, primary is shown to the left and secondary is shown to the right. Okay, but in general, to whichever winding I connect supply voltage, that is primary. To whichever winding I connect load, that is secondary. And transformer is a bilateral device. Okay, the primary and secondary are not fixed. If I connect supply here and load here, this becomes primary, this becomes secondary. If I connect load here and supply here, this becomes primary, this becomes secondary. Okay, so primary is one where the supply is connected, secondary is one where the load is connected. Okay, so the other part is core. The core is made up of magnetic material. Why it has to be made of magnetic material, we will see in the principle, working principle of transformer. It is made up of magnetic material. Generally we use silicon steel laminated core, because silicon steel is very good magnetic material for me, which has got good permeability, good susceptance, low reluctance, low hysteresis losses. Okay, and because I am using laminations, I will be further reducing the eddy current losses even. Okay, so this is the core. So winding is kept on the core. Now what if I don't use core? If I keep only these two windings near to each other, then also transformer action takes place, but the linking from primary to secondary is very weak. Why I use core is the medium which will link the primary flux to secondary flux to the large extent. I do not say completely. Okay, at least more than 95% of the flux created in the primary is linked to secondary through this magnetic core. Now if I don't use this magnetic core, okay, not even 50% linkage is guaranteed. So lot of the flux will be surrounding the primary coil only, it will not link to the secondary coil, and the energy transfer from primary to secondary is very weak, very less. Okay, for that reason I use magnetic core. So magnetic core will provide a magnetic path for the creation of the flux that link from primary to secondary. My intention is to make the primary flux link secondary, because I want to transfer the primary energy to secondary energy without physical contact. There is no physical contact between the two. Don't think that winding is directly placed on the core. First I will isolate the core using insulation. Upon that I will be keeping the winding. Okay, upon that I will be keeping the winding. Okay, after a few classes I will be sending you a few images of the working transformer. Okay, how the winding are placed and all. Let a few classes get over on this concept, and I will send you a few working transformer images. Okay, you will understand these all points in a better way. Okay, so the core is provided to create a magnetic path for the flow of or for the flux linkage from primary to secondary. So this is the fundamental construction of transformer. Okay, next is working. Working of transformer. Okay, so I have a transformer. Okay, so this transformer I have with primary winding and with secondary winding kept on the two limbs of the transformer core. Now let the number of turns in primary be N1, number of turns in primary be N1, number of turns in secondary be N2. Okay, so N1 is number of turns in primary winding and N2 is number of turns in secondary winding. Okay, then I will be connecting the primary winding with the supply voltage of V1 volts, supply voltage of say V1 volts, which will make the current I1 to flow in the primary. Okay, which will make current I1 to flow in the primary. Now the moment I1 flows in the primary winding, by the nature of electricity, there will be flux created by the primary winding, and that flux, majority of that flux will be created in the core and it will link to secondary winding. So this is flux phi, and the dotted line indicates, the arrow mark indicates the path of flow of flux. Actually we can't say flow of flux, flux will not flow, it will simply exist in the space. Okay, it won't flow, it will exist. The direction it is shown because the flux is created by the primary linking to secondary, that is the meaning of the direction here. Okay, the flux is created by the left coil and it is linking to the right coil, that is the meaning of direction. Physically flux will not flow, flux is actually a plane, magnetic field is a plane. Okay, but we represent it using the lines of flux. Okay, why we represent it using lines of flux? Because it is difficult for me to show the plane in my analysis. So when I show the lines, okay, and when I keep all the lines adjacent to each other without any gap, it will form a plane. Okay, infinite connection of points will give the line, infinite joining of lines adjacently will give the plane. That is the reason why I represent the flux in the form of flux lines. Okay, but actually magnetic field is a continuous plane, it is not a discontinuous lines. Okay, Just to understand that flux is created by the left coil linking to right coil, this is the arrow mark. Okay, just to understand the direction. Now, this flux phi is linking to this primary coil as well as secondary coil. The moment flux phi is created in the primary coil, it will first link the primary coil itself. Hence, I get a self-induced EMF E1 in the primary coil. So, E1 is primary induced EMF, where V1 is the supply voltage. E1 is primary induced EMF. Okay, E1 is primary induced EMF. The moment flux is created and links to the core or through the core to secondary winding, there is an EMF induced in secondary coil. Because the flux phi is alternating in nature, it is linking to the secondary coil. Therefore, in secondary coil, there is an EMF induced in the secondary coil. Okay, so what is E2? Mutually secondary induced EMF, or let us take secondary induced EMF okay. So E1 is primary induced EMF, this is self induced, this is mutually induced. Okay, so primary induced EMF is self induced, secondary induced EMF is mutually induced. Okay, where I1 is primary current, okay, that is supply current. Where I1 is primary current or supply current. Yeah. Now, what is the magnitude of induced EMF? E1. As per the Faraday's law, as per Faraday's law, E1 is equals to, or E1 is equals to where capital E1, capital E2 are RMS values, okay, whereas small e1 is average value, okay, or instantaneous value, whatever you can call. E1 is the self-induced EMF. So, E1 is induced because of the change in flux phi linking to this coil. Therefore, I can write this as d phi by dt. It is d phi by dt. But this EMF induced is not in only one turn. There are n1 number of turns in the primary. Therefore, multiply it by n1 number of turns. That is E1 is equals to n1 d phi by dt. Okay. Then what is E2? The same flux phi is linking to secondary coil. The same flux phi is linking to secondary coil. Therefore, the EMF induced E2 is also given by d phi by dt. It is given by d phi by dt into n2, because there are n2 number of turns in the secondary. Okay, because there are n2 number of turns in the secondary, it is n2 d phi by dt. Therefore, E2 is equals to n2 d phi by dt. Now, taking the ratio, E2 to E1, what I get? N2 d phi by dt divided by N1 d phi by dt. So d phi by dt will cancel E2 by E1 is equals to N2 by N1. Okay. Taking RMS values, E2 by E1 is equals to N2 by N1. Okay, and this is known as transformation ratio. Okay, this ratio is known as transformation ratio. And it is given by capital K. Okay, so therefore K is equals to E2 by E1 is equals to N2 by N1. E2 by E1 is equals to N2 by N1. Okay, so this is called transformation ratio. Now if I connect load on the secondary, then the secondary circuit will form a closed loop or closed path, and the current I2 starts flowing in the secondary coil. Okay, if I connect load on the secondary, if I don't connect any load, current I2 is 0. There is no current in the secondary winding. Now if I connect some load in the secondary circuit will become closed path. The EMF induced E2 will make the current I2 circulate in the secondary coil. Okay, EMF induced E2 will make I2 circulate in the secondary coil. Okay, so this I2 is, you have not taken, right? So here you take below that I1 only. I2 is secondary current or load current. Now, as per the principle of operation of transformer, as per definition of transformer, primary total power is equals to secondary total power. Primary total power is equals to secondary total power. That is, I can write E1 into I1 or V1 into I1. There is no much difference. E1 into I1 or V1 into I1, because E1 will be nearly equal to V1, is equals to E2 into I2. The total power, what? Volt ampere rating of the primary, that is E1 I1, is equal to E2 I2, because total power in primary and secondary will remain same. That is why the definition of transformer. So E1 I1 is equals to E2 I2, or E2 by E1 is equals to I1 by I2. E2 by E1 is equals to I1 by I2. What is E2 by E1? It is the transformation ratio. It is nothing but my K. Okay, E2 by E1 is equals to I1 by I2, and E2 by E1 is transformation ratio. Now therefore I can write K is equals to, I can write E2 by E1 equals to N2 by N1 equals to I1 by I2. So this is transformation ratio of transformer. Transformation ratio. Okay. Now we will get one more term called turns ratio. Turns ratio is always equals to reciprocal of K. Okay. Turns ratio is always equal to 1 by K, which is equals to E1 by E2 equal to N1 by N2 equal to I2 by I1. Okay. So turns ratio and transformation ratio are different. In many books, turns ratio and transformation ratio they are taken same, but it is not correct. Turns ratio is always reciprocal of transformation ratio. So transformation ratio is always secondary to primary voltage. That will give us how much amount of voltage is transferred to secondary from primary. That is called transformation ratio. So this is always equals to E2 by E1. When it is E2 by E1, it will be N2 by N1 and I1 by I2. So this is transformation ratio, this is turns ratio. Okay. So this is about the working principle or working of the transformer. Okay. In tomorrow's class, in next class, we will see the EMF equation of transformer. So today we will stop the class. So today we saw the construction of transformer and working of transformer, and tomorrow we will be going through the EMF equation of transformer, and with that EMF equation we may solve few numericals or examples on that. Then we will move to after that the losses and efficiency of the transformer. Okay. So thank you for joining the class. We'll end now.